Well, hello, everyone. If you were so fortunate to hear Jamie say out loud, "Oh no, the mics are on," you were in for a treat.
I just wanted to tell you I was going to leave the title screen on for longer so that I could edit it better on YouTube because I cut off
But
the account. But our mics were on.
contrary to what you see here, we're very professional. We specialize in live productions.
Just not
Just
our
not
own.
our own. That's all. But hey, and Brian. Ryan's here. So if you caught us during our countdown, you got to witness some new videos. We've been doing over 30 episodes now, and we finally got around to adding new videos
I
in our
got bored
pre-roll.
of the same one.
Yeah, if we're bored, can't imagine how bored you guys were. So, Brian, I'm glad that I saw like, oh, somebody's watching the pre-roll and the countdown. I bet it's Brian. So I'm glad that you got that, Brian, because I thought if anyone would appreciate me exploiting young children and putting them in harm's way of possible projectile vomiting, it would be you. So I'm glad you saw that. But we put in a bunch of new videos for the countdown. So hopefully each week you'll have some new things to watch.
And he didn't know at that time that one day those kids would be his stepkids.
Yeah. And it took many hours of therapy to get them back to normal. But here we are. Funny how life works out, which kind of in a morbid way is kind of what today's topic is about. Like, it's not funny how things have turned out here in reality, but just a few months ago we were like, hey, we're turning the corner, and then a lot of nonprofits were planning on returning back to their traditional fundraiser events, their
Or
in-person
hybrid.
events. Mm-hmm. And they're thinking like, yeah, by September, October, we're going to have, 100, 200 people at our next event. And we actually were scheduled to, produce a couple of those. And literally in the last few days, we got one that said, you know what, we have to postpone ours till next year because the rising numbers of COVID cases and we just don't want to have to risk that, in a few months, we'll have to reschedule anyway after doing all this planning because we've shut down or there's been higher restrictions on in-person events and stuff like that, which it looks like it's going to be almost inevitable, it seems. So we also know that the fourth quarter, like October, November, early December, is like prime time for many nonprofits to do their fundraisers. And while last year, all of you had to, think of new ways, whether to just cancel altogether or create virtual type of fundraisers, it was a lot to prepare for, being that it was the first time you ever had to do it like that. And this year you thought, most of you were like, oh, good, we don't have to do that again. We're going to go back to how way things were. And now it's like, we got to start planning for another way. So we thought we'd take this time today to kind of, you guys get the unfiltered brainstorm session here because we did zero preparation for this.
We were going to prepare, but
We didn't need to
there's
tell
no
them that we were going
time.
to.
Oh.
We should just pretend like this was what we planned.
Oh, okay. Oops.
We didn't want to prepare because we wanted to give you our authentic process. But honestly, what we're going to do today is what we do in real life. Like when we come up with an issue, we're usually walking. We're usually out walking, but we'll do it here in our studio. And we just come up with ideas, and 90% of them come from me that are terrible. And then Jamie will take a couple of them and then like tweak them and then reword them. And then I'll be like, oh, what a great idea. So you guys get to see how twisted my brain is and then see how wonderful hers is that can reshape and reform. It's like,
I just say no a lot.
and then you're like the clay person. You strip away the inessentials and then reveal the inner
clay
beauty.
person.
You know the one when they have the spinning clay thingy and it's just this of clay and
Potter?
yeah, pottery. And they
Okay.
take away the
let's-
inessential parts.
Come on.
Right? That's me. I give you the and then you sculpt it into something beautiful. But anyways, we thought today we talk about we come up with some ideas of what organizations might want to try to look into as far as ideas for how to either refine or replace your in-person fundraisers, because it's going to be most likely what you'll have to do this year. So if you do want to still do your fourth quarter 2021 fundraiser, there might be some ideas here that we come up with, and maybe none of them are good, but let's see what we do. And Brian's here, so he'll tell us if it's a bad idea or not. Anyways, before we get into some ideas, anything that you want to say as far as your thoughts to the idea of changing the plans of going into being more creative in a in-person fundraiser? Like,
what?
Well, like, so people, the fundraiser is such an important part of nonprofits. I mean, a lot of them rely on that money that they get from fundraisers to operate for the next year, right? So some would say, like, we'll just wait till we see things calm down. But what would you say to those who are not sure about continuing on with an idea for a fundraiser for fourth quarter and thinking about?
Well, I think last year people were saying that, like, they canceled last year's one and they said we'll do it next year, and then now look what's happening. Like, you never know what is gonna be happening right now.
And I would say a lot there. We heard this a lot too. People were saying, like, oh, because of the situation, nobody wants to donate, and like we don't want to ask for money, which from our experience has been the opposite. Like, so many organizations saw a lot of success in fundraisers throughout this pandemic, because there are so many people and organizations out there that are still doing okay. I mean, look at the real estate market. I mean, it's going gangbusters. So there's money out there, and people want to help support, especially nonprofits who are doing such amazing work and necessary work. They see the importance of keeping them funded and supported. So, but you just got to ask. And so for those who were like shy and like, no, we don't want to ask for money now. If your organization needs it, there are people out there that want to give it to you. So I would say don't let that be a deterrent. And as far as going virtual, I think today what we're going to talk about is try to come up with some different ideas, because I think what we've seen and done is, like, the virtual events that we produce and stuff are great, but maybe organizations don't feel like they can do that type of program or don't want to. But that shouldn't stop you. There's other things that you could do. And we've had the fortune of doing some creative, other kind of fundraisers that maybe some haven't seen or been a part of. And that could be some ideas for you guys as well. So, yeah, we'll go into some thoughts. Did you have any ideas of things aside from... So a virtual fundraiser that we normally would see is somewhat similar to an in-person one, where there's a program, there might be like awardees and speeches, some videos focusing on the program or people within the program, maybe a live virtual auction, and done with the program in an hour or less. So we're not here to talk about that because you've seen and done a lot of those. Anything that you would have to say as far as ideas that you might have that are different from that?
I think just the ones that we already did.
Like what?
Like Nisei.
So explain how that one worked.
They made that one. So Nisei Veterans Legacy did theirs as an educational event. So they focused more on education.
Their program was about educating people about the issues and the movement that they are trying to bring awareness to.
Not issues, like history.
But issues in that it connects to now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that's what people think when they think about something, an organization like Nisei Veterans Legacy, or ones that support like our veterans. It's more of just like recognizing the past. But what Nisei Veterans Legacy really concentrated on was like it's important to recognize the past because we're seeing it being repeated now, today. And if we don't see what happened then, how are we not going to repeat it again, continue to repeat it? So it was really relevant to today's generation, especially those who, thought like, yeah, I know the story of World War II, like no big deal. Like this was like, no, there's so much more to it after the war that you could see being relevant to today's issues in society. But what they did was they focused on, as far as getting funds, through their fundraising was done through getting sponsorships for the event. So they marketed and promoted it as an educational event versus like, hey, it's our fundraiser, tune in and donate money. It was like, hey, this is really important. We have some really great stories and things that we want to share with you all. And then for the sponsors, they reached out and were like, hey, this is a really important program. Would love your support. And a lot of the sponsors were like, yes, this is something we want to be associated with and want to see happen. So they got a lot of donations, support through sponsorships. And then is interesting, during the program, the live stream, they were getting donations because they had housed the live stream on their website, which had easy access to the donation page. And they did a great job in continuing to, well, they allowed us to help them form the YouTube replay and stuff with, like we did things that we talked about, was it last week? With tags and stuff. And they had like, I think up to 80 live viewers. Since then, it's been like 2 weeks now, maybe a week and a half. They're over 500 views. So they've like multiplied their reach through the replay factor. And I just met with them last week and they said they still got donations after the event.
Oh, wow.
So you can see
that's awesome.
Yeah, the longevity of it. And that's different from what people are used to with their in-person events, where once the night is over, no more donations, right? This one is kind of, you can have international donations because someone from another country saw it and felt compelled to donate. So an educational type of event where you're providing quality content, but also that's the draw, is it's education or it's entertainment versus promoting it as a fundraiser, which I think some people, if I was just told, hey, there's a fundraiser going on this Friday, like that's not enough of a draw for me. But if there's something there that's interesting to me, then I will go to it.
And it's giving sponsors something of value to sponsor that they want to put their name on. So it's quality content that meets, or it goes along with their mission and values.
Yeah.
And then it's
Yeah, I think it's so much easier for them to see the marriage making sense between them and your organization when it's something like that. So what else did you see that you liked?
What else did we do?
Mm-hmm.
What else? You say things.
Okay, well, I only do this, as many of you know, because once I start talking,
blah blah blah, just go.
They could still see your face. So another thing that we saw that was a lot of fun was like doing what is that thing called, like raffle draws and stuff like that. So if you have access to fun and unique items or prizes, you can do things like where people can buy, raffle tickets during the live event, and you can draw their names live and in person. So it's like this interactivity, and what made it really fun was that we're seeing their comments live and recognizing them.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
the
yeah.
MC was like, seeing who was really excited about this next prize. And the fun part is like you could even get creative. We didn't necessarily do this, but the idea had been brought up, and I think with more time it could have happened. But you could have creative prizes instead of just something like, oh, here's a $50 gift certificate to this restaurant. It could be something like where if you have access to a celebrity or someone of a person of interest, like, you can enter to win, a one-on-one virtual chat with them or something, like, and you, or we had like a musical artist, and it's like the ideas tossed around, like, oh, we can have them perform live, and like they could customize the performance to you, or like, if you've ever wanted to hear, John Yamasato sing Slayer, like, maybe like for so much money you could purchase that or unlock that, that prize, So it's just, I think, because it's virtual, you get a lot of variety in how you can engage the audience, because there's so many people that are more comfortable talking from behind a computer on the keyboard versus when we're in person and it's like, hey, who wants to do this, or who wants to do it? It's like everyone's all shy, right? But we've noticed that there's so much more activity in the chat rooms and stuff, and comment sections on virtual events. So getting creative with, it's almost like what I liked was what I was trying to do at one time was, when you do what are those things called when you're trying to do fundraise, they GoFundMe, and then they say like, oh, if so many people sponsor this or buy this, then it'll release this actual thing and everyone gets to buy it or whatever. Taking that kind of concept of like getting the community to buy into something to make it happen.
So this is just stuff that you would add into like a regular fundraiser, like trying to add on other more active, live, engaging things to a regular fundraiser.
Yeah, or even, I mean, because I was just thinking from the standpoint of, if I was looking through my feed or through my emails and I saw an ad for it or a notice for this event, to me, if I saw something that was like interesting or entertaining to me, that would make me pay attention, versus seeing if it's an organization that I support and then seeing that it's an event or a fundraiser and then figure out what it is.
But the raffle wouldn't be like the thing that they're advertising.
But the raffle is just the vehicle to participating in this fun event. So it's like we're unlocking prizes. You can change the theme of it to, instead of saying, hey, join us for a live raffle, it's like, join us for...
So the event is the raffle?
Yeah.
What?
So that's the draw. Like, that's the main event. Like, that's the activity going on. You can intersperse things like, your overview video or a guest or whatever, but people are going to be jumping on to participate.
So the main thing that you're promoting and advertising is like the different prizes?
Yeah.
Oh. Huh.
Because then that draws like such a wider audience, because now it's not restricted to...
Could be all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Because like I could have zero interest or familiarity with organization A, that...
Yeah.
But when it looks like, oh, that looks fun. Oh, I would love a chance to get this really unique prize or whatever. For instance, the WWE, which I'm a huge fan of, did something really cool like that.
WWE sucks.
Where they partnered with, a nonprofit organization. And it was a great organization that I've never heard of. But as I learned more about them, I was like, wow, this is really cool. But had they just said, hey, help us support and promote, this organization that was about, abuse, some kind of prevention of abuse. They said like, hey, get involved in, you can participate by this special raffle drawing where, you buy so many tickets and that gives you a better chance of winning this amazing prize pack, which had very unique prizes in there that you can't buy. Like, oh, you'll have a trip to WrestleMania where you'll have a private lunch with this wrestler, and then you'll go shopping with this wrestler, and then then this other person will have like a video chat with, like, there's like all kinds of stuff that's unique that no one can purchase. And it's like raffle tickets are $5 each. And, if the more tickets you buy, the better chance you have of winning. And I was like, that sounds like an awesome prize. So I just jumped on and purchased tickets and stuff. And as I did that, I learned more about the organization. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And now when I see that organization mentioned, it's like I have familiarity with it. But had they just jumped out with like, hey guys, support this organization, or here's an event that will tell you more about this organization, I would be like, eh. But now, because of this activity that drew me in, I have that connection to them. So I think a lot of these nonprofit orgs here in Hawaii have access to the possibility of unique, activities or prizes, or because they have so many connections in the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it doesn't have to be a celebrity. It could be with a restaurant. Like so many restaurants do so much to help support nonprofit organizations. So it could be stuff like unique dining experiences, or stuff like that, which you can't purchase. So there's all kinds of cool stuff. It could be, there's tons of ideas of just thinking about who's in your network and seeing what kind of creative things you could create from that are unique.
I feel like I agree that it sounds fun, but what I feel like is like trying to get a lot of small donations from a lot of individual donors is way more work than going for the big fish sponsor.
Okay.
So like having an event or having a reason to get a big sponsor on is going to be easier than this kind of thing where like you're trying to get like you're going for the quantity of donations.
So if you tie those two together, then I think you're in a win-win, because if you're telling these potential sponsors, hey, we're throwing out this huge net of audience that are going to be jumping in to participate in this interactive, activity, that's your push to
get a sponsor.
Yeah, because now the sponsors know, oh, this is going to not only reach our regular organization's audience, but expand beyond that. And for a sponsor, their number one probably priority, I would hope, is that the reason why they want to sponsor is they want to support this organization that is in line with their values.
So this raffle would be sponsored by somebody.
The raffle event. So like to me, this is a virtual, it's almost like a game show kind of thing. And the event is sponsored by these organizations. So for the organizations that are sponsoring it, or the companies, they get tied in with this. And so it's like, Pops Super Raffle Giveaway brought to you by XYZ company and stuff. And throughout the program, you see you have different ways that you tie them into it. You could even have the sponsor announce prize.
Yeah. I get it. But I feel like if we can have a bunch of ideas, like I get this one now.
Okay. Cool. So to me, the idea of online and virtual and stuff is how else can you create interactivity with the viewers? Because what I've seen a lot of is, hey, come and watch, and then they just kind of watch, and they might comment like, this is great, good job guys. But it'd be so much more fun if we could somehow create content that would elicit interaction with the audience. So all I could think of at the time, which maybe we will expand on, is like some kind of like game show type of thing, like trivia or something like that. Because like remember back like, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, it was huge on like K5, I think. They had like bingo every afternoon. And you go to Times.
Oh.
What? Why? What's so sad?
That's my horrible job story.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, bye, Brian.
Always love the info you guys provide. Oh, thanks, Brian. Really appreciate that. Well, there goes our one viewer. Hopefully Jill's here too. But yeah, so aside from Jamie's horrible experience, that was appointment television for a lot of people. Like you would go to Times Supermarket and get your bingo card, your free bingo card, and you would play bingo, through the television, right? So if there's a way that we can incorporate that kind of interactivity with the viewers with a game like that. Like, that's fun. That's a draw. And maybe it is bingo. But even with bingo, you got to get creative in how you announce the numbers, because otherwise it's boring. You're watching B32. In fact, I hosted it several episodes of that with
You
Sweetie
did?
Pacaro. And we kept running the same joke over and over, which is B21. Oh, my age. Oh, that's my age. We thought it was such a funny joke until like the fourth time we said it. I was like, oh man, we gotta think of a new joke. But anyways, it doesn't have to be bingo, but that's just an example of. And nowadays, there's probably like way more fun games and relevant games. But
So it would be a game that the viewer is playing.
Yeah, and it could be that when you register for it, you could either make it free to register, or like it's just $5 to register, but that gives you access to the program. But then that also gets you emailed like your, your
your individual card.
Yeah. And that way, you get more engagement, I think, with people.
And then that would be an event that is sponsored by somebody.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be fun. I mean, it's going to take a little creativity because you got to go over the different scenarios of stuff. But this is where you guys do that work. I'm just planting the seed here. Now it's time for you to harvest that yourself. The other thing that I thought of, or do you have anything to add to this one?
No.
The other thing I thought of was like exclusive content, that it's like you got to register or see it live, like almost like appointment attending. And it's like, let's say, for example, you have access to someone of interest, whether it's a celebrity or an expert in the field or somebody that's a draw, and you're saying like, hey, we have this exclusive conversation with this person where they're going to give you like content that you normally wouldn't get access to. So let's say it's a celebrity, an actor or something, and it's like they're going to tell you about like behind the scenes stuff, like things that you don't normally hear about, and that might be of interest to an audience that's like, ooh, that sounds like interesting, like the tell all, like what really happened on the set of this thing or whatever, right? And it's like and you promote it in that it's not going to be available on demand afterwards and stuff. That's why it's going to be unfiltered and raw, because it's only because that's what they're doing now with like Patreon, right? Like when you listen to a podcast, they'll say like, hey, this is the free podcast, but if you subscribe to our Patreon account, you get access to this exclusive content, like, and people will pay, and there's no other way that you can hear these stories or this content unless you're a paid member. So this could be something that flows along that line where the attendees get exclusive access to this topic or content. And then, again, you can still get sponsorships because it's a draw, and the sponsors can be tied to that event. It's almost like because of this sponsor, it's allowing, this opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity for the public to purchase, $5
So is it
ticket.
related to the nonprofit at all, or it's just somebody that's willing to give their time?
See, to me, it's a bonus if it's related to the nonprofit, but I don't think it's
Doesn't
necessary.
have to be.
Because how often is it going to be so
Yeah.
interesting to the public that maybe isn't necessarily a fan of or a follower of this nonprofit organization? So to me, if it's something where it's like, so for instance, if it's a celebrity that you don't see much access to, it's like an evening with Bruno Mars, let's say that. And it's like an hour long, live conversation with Bruno where he's going to talk about his, behind the scenes stuff, but also attendees can throw
Q&A.
questions. Yeah. Q&A with the attendees. Like, to me, that virtual access for the attendees could be a huge draw. And for that, I would spend, 5, 10, 15, 20. Like you did that with watching The Princess Bride with the actor
Oh, yeah.
Harry Elwes, right? So she paid like a lot of money to go see a movie that she has seen many times already.
It's like $100.
Something like 100 or 150
Yeah.
to go to Hawaii Theater, watch Princess Bride,
And take a picture.
and then go upstairs afterwards and take a picture with the actor who
But
played.
why?
Why what?
Why did I pay all that money? Because I named my kid after the character.
But she was one of hundreds of people who did that.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
all didn't
Yeah.
name their kid after.
But if, for me personally, if I didn't get to take a, so I printed a big picture of Wes, and then I brought it, and so the picture is of me and the actor, and I'm holding the picture of Wes, who is named after the Dread Pirate Roberts, Wesley.
And that could be also part of this draw too, right? Like, what if we just recreated this type of experience, but virtually? So let's say this actor, what's his name? Cary Elwes?
I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
This actor, Cary, you guys did like a virtual event with him and Q&A, live Q&A and stuff. And then as a paying attendee, you also get to take a virtual selfie with him. So like in Zoom or something, you pull them up next to each other and you guys can pose, and then you can share it with all your friends. Like, hey, I got to talk to Cary, the actor. But again, like, even if you don't have access to like a famous actor, it could be like a chef, award-winning chef, and that part of the evening is them. The chef can give you access to Q&A of like how to, like, it could be like teaching you how to be a better cook at home and stuff. And
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
like Alan Wong is all about like learning about so many of the different intricacies. He's not just like, oh, let me make it taste good. He like studies and researches like all the ingredients, where they're from, the origins and stuff. Like, wouldn't it be fascinating to just have a night where he's like focusing on some of the stuff he's learned about, but also teaching you about how to prepare it at home,
cool.
Things that you can do at home and stuff. And then you still have that access where you can ask questions and he can answer it live and be like, oh, that's a good question. I didn't think about that. But
the Q&A part is very valuable, I think.
Yeah. And so to me, having someone like that, not Alan in particular, I'm not going to speak for him, but like having a person like that in our community who would be more than willing to share some of their time and their expertise and their passions for a good cause, for an organization like yours. And it's really easy to set up because it's a virtual event and stuff. Mm-hmm. And again, you can have sponsors sponsor that because, again, this is appointment type of stuff where you're going to get an audience who wants to participate in that, and to have your organization tied with that, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. And your organization on top of that is tied to the nonprofit, which is another bonus for the sponsors, because it's like you're supporting.
Your organization is tied to the nonprofit?
The sponsor.
Oh, the sponsor is tied to the nonprofit.
Is tied to the nonprofit organization. Because that partnership speaks volumes for community involvement and awareness, right? All right. I think those are some good ideas. I'm going along the path of what will be unique to get people to watch and participate or attend. And those are things that I think are doable. Mm-hmm. Because I think the ideas of like, oh, we're going to do a presentation where we're going to have speeches and things, depending on what the topic is and who the people are, it might be difficult to draw in a large audience if you don't have something like really, really, what is the word? Like good. No.
So you mean like doing a presentation that's relevant to your particular nonprofit? Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be great for your nonprofit to do.
But you're not gonna. It's not gonna be a big money maker because it's not a big draw.
Yeah, if it's not a big draw.
Okay, yeah. So it'd be like if we were talking about home project, so maybe not having a panel discussion on medical services for houseless people, but having a Q&A with Jason Scott Lee.
And
or
you can,
Kelly
I think you can insert that into the program, but that's not what you
the
advertise.
main draw.
Yeah. Like as they're there for Kelly Hu or for Jason Scott Lee, we also insert that panel discussion because now you have an attentive, captive audience and you can educate them about these things.
Maybe not panel discussion, maybe something shorter, because you don't want people to be upset that like they spent this money and it's like 60% of it is the panel discussion.
No,
Yeah. Just have like a little bit in there.
Yeah, you got to remember that once you get the audience, that's just half of the battle. You got to keep the audience.
Yeah.
And what you don't want to do is get them there and they're like, where the heck is all the stuff you guys promised? The fun and the prizes and the talks. I'm not here to be lectured. But if you get, they'll be very forgiving of it when it's just more like, hey, this has been fun so far. Congratulations to some of the winners. Just want to take a few minutes to share with you what this is all for. Here's a 2-3 minute video or talk about what this organization does. And then, all right, let's get back to the activity at hand. That's more than acceptable. Anything else? Any other ideas?
Is there something with like the Pictionary thing?
So that was fun too. So again, going back to, I guess that falls under the like game show type of idea.
Yeah.
But we were we helped out with an organization who did like a virtual Pictionary activity where they had artists live sketching things and people in the chat would throw out their guesses as to what, the picture is. And whoever would get it right would get a prize and stuff. And so they had it figured out how the logistics of how they would, get the prize winners their prize. But they had like, a bunch of cool little prizes and stuff like gift certificates and whatnot. But the thing that made it the most fun was the interactive portion of it. So I was the MC for this. So as the artist was drawing their, I don't know what to call it, the thing that we're supposed to guess.
Their picture?
Yeah. I was interacting with the artist. I was interacting with the people in the chat as far as like I'd see people throwing up guesses or asking questions and I would on the air, verbalize them and stuff. And that's what made it really fun and interactive. It wasn't just like the silence says, okay, here's our next picture. And we just see the artist silently drawing. And then we go, wait till we get the correct answer. And it's like, all right, John, you said Van Gogh. That's correct. It was more like, oh, I see squiggly line. Like, we see some guesses here, like a beetle. Why would you say that's a beetle? Like, I don't see it. Maybe you flip it upside down. Like, there's just a lot of interactivity. But the participants kept saying during and after, like how much fun it was.
Yeah.
Just because they're sitting at home sometimes. And we'd even ask like, okay, so-and-so, what is your drink of choice there? Because you've come up with some doozies of a answer. It's like, oh, you're on scotch. Okay, that explains. But it just feels like, hey, we're all hanging out together. I mean, that's what's so fun about, family game nights or when you have friends over.
Remember, like in the 90s, you might not remember, but who is the dad from Growing Pains?
Mike Seaver.
Mike Seaver's the kid.
I don't know. Alan Thicke.
Yeah, Alan Thicke.
Yeah.
Alan Thicke. He used to host Celebrity Pictionary.
Yeah, that's right.
So then you just watch. So like even if maybe not Pictionary, but if you have celebrities playing a game show, and that might be something that people would tune in to watch, and it could be sponsorable. That might not be something I would buy a ticket for, but if you get enough sponsors for it, it might be worth it.
That's the other thing is maybe changing the goal where if you have your financial goal that you're trying to reach, instead of relying on ticket sales, Like, because what people used to do with in-person events is rely on table sales and stuff like that, right? But instead, we kind of change the concept in that you're trying to reach this goal of $10,000. And so how many, like what kind of sponsorship packages can you come up with that, and then what costs would they be? And then figure out how many sponsors do we need to get to reach that goal, and have that kind of be the avenue to raising that money, so that you can provide this content for free where people don't have to pay a fee to watch it or participate. And the hopes is, and this would be like icing on the cake, is that as they're participating and watching, you can lead them to your website or learning more about your organization, and they might be incentivized to support where they can make a donation and such. But that's just like extra, money on top of it because you've already reached your goal through sponsorships.
This is just a random idea. I don't, it might suck. But like, so mom was just talking about how there's like her friends are getting scared about going out and they just stay at home now and they're not having human interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you did some kind of, if if part of your mission is like helping elderly people, if you do like some kind of weekly activity and then it's not like if those people are like scared of Zoom or something.
Mm-hmm.
But so like getting a sponsor for a weekly activity, so it's not not one big event
thing, yeah.
but like something over time, and they're sponsoring it like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea, because for our kupuno, like before, what they would do at home is watch game shows or soap operas, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like you're kind of creating something similar to that, but it's interactive.
And if it's on like Facebook, maybe maybe it might be easier because maybe they are on Facebook to follow their grandkids.
Yeah. And it could be fun for them, like where it's like something they look forward to, like every Thursday at 6 p.m. like we're going to do this whatever kind of event. And for a sponsor to have it be reoccurring like that, there's value to that. You don't just have that one shot to get in front of the eyeballs. It's like, I think that reoccurring viewership or being able to touch that audience.
That one probably should be more tied to your mission, though, if it's some kind of recurring thing.
Possibly. I mean, think about it. Like when one of the more popular events, like if we're going back to in person, there's that organization that did the Pursuit Challenge in downtown, where people would get together teams and they do this like, what is it? Not a maze, but it's like the Amazing Race kind of thing. But so many people and teams and organizations signed up for those because it was fun, it was interactive, and that activity didn't tie in with the nonprofit's mission, but it got them a lot of support, gave them a reason to learn more about them and such. So I think in the same vein, this kind of thing that you're talking about could not necessarily be tied to the mission, but the mission can be brought up in the program and so like woven into it somehow. I think that would be great for especially those nonprofits that target for in this example, like target elderly support services and all that kind of stuff. Then it makes sense. Like you're trying to provide one entertainment or service to your target audience of the elderly. But then for sponsors, it's like, oh, that's who we're trying to show our support to as well and get in front of. So it makes sense for them to sponsor it. So yeah, I think that would be really great. And being that it's weekly, I know a lot of you are like, I don't have time for that. But if you make it simple enough, but still cool enough where, the audience wants to tune in each week because there's an incentive, that's all you need. It doesn't have to be super fancy, like big time TV show kind of thing.
Yeah.
It could be us right here. B21. Oh, that's my age. It doesn't take much to entertain people these days. Anyways, yeah, any other thoughts? I think we gave a lot of ideas.
Did we?
I don't know. I feel like we did.
I don't know.
Well, it's been 45 minutes, so even if we didn't, we filled up a lot of time.
Yeah,
on
my
this
leg
thing.
is sore.
So I think this is a good time to put a end to this episode. But I hope you guys got some ideas out of this, and even if like what we suggested or came up with in particular doesn't vibe with you guys, at least the idea of, hey, we don't need to do the traditional in-person event, and we don't have to wait. Like, we can start doing something now to still catch the momentum of, like, again, fourth quarter is like huge for giving. So you don't want to just sit idly by for your organization. Like, this is prime time to get out there. So come up with ideas.
I feel like it's right around the corner. So if you're sitting on the fence as far as like what you're gonna do, it's gonna be very stressful for staff if they have to be waiting to plan the in-person event in the hopes that things will be okay this year.
Yeah.
And then something that people were saying last year during COVID, when it was not sure if it's going to get better or what's going to happen, like going from virtual to in-person or hybrid is easier than going from in-person to virtual.
Yeah.
So
So we suggest you just plan ahead for virtual.
Yeah,
and
just in case.
Yeah, and if for some reason you are able to make it go in person or hybrid, that's probably much more doable.
Yeah.
Because when we do virtual events, it's like probably like a month of planning sometimes.
I would more like, well, it depends.
Yeah.
Depends.
But it's something to think about, like right now. Because we're in August.
Yeah.
And I think most of the events that we've seen in the past, and even from the conversations we're having, they're looking at September, October. And it's only getting more and more crowded, I think. So you don't want to be last minute and then just go, it's too late. Let's just can it. And then you miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
Just talk about it now. And it doesn't even have to be super huge, just something that you can handle that keeps you doing something. All right. Well, if you have any questions about what we talked about here today, or if you have other suggestions that you think others would want to know about, throw them in the comment section. I don't know if it's below or to the right or to the left, but let us know. Or if you want to just reach out to us directly, our email is info@popcm.me, and we'll pull it up maybe on the screen.
No? I don't know where it is.
Okay.
It's just disappearing.
Well, just know that you can email us at info@popcm.me. But a fail-proof, easy way to contact us is just throw it in the comment section here. Whether you're watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, we can see the comments. So just throw it in there. And we also have our bi-week. If we have an email newsletter list, and we do every month a newsletter filled with all kinds of good stuff and information and things. But we'll also send out a reminder of when our Pop Live episode is going to be airing, like in 10-15 minutes. So for those of you who are like, oh man, I'm watching this delayed, I would have loved to watch it live. I wish I knew how to know when you guys are going to go up, because usually we're going up Tuesdays at 12:30 p.m. on Hawaii Standard Time, but there's weeks like this that we had to change it because we were unavailable. So rather than finding out after we air, if you are signed up for our newsletter, we'll give you a 10-15 minute warning and heads up, like, hey, we're going to go live in 10-15 minutes. Jump on over, and then you can see us live. So to sign up for that newsletter, just go to this website.
Nope.
Nope. That's not going up?
Nope.
All right. Well, you can go to popcm.me/email. popcm.me/email. And there you can sign up for it. I swear we're professionals and that we know how to do this stuff. But we'll do that for you, not for us. All right. Have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye.